one of the misconceptions that people have about banking sector?
It's very difficult to get inside a bank. It's actually very easy to become a banker.
You've worked with many big companies, be it SAP, Wipro, ICICI, Access. There might be some common things that you might have done in all these industries or these banks.
The technology world was very different from what a banking is. The way you deal with an MNC customer and the kind of solutions and services which they require would probably be vastly different from what an SME customer would want to.
During these transitions, did you find it difficult to face?
See, that's where the learning comes into picture. Unless and until you are ready for trying something new, it will be difficult for you to grow. So yes, it was a challenge, but then again, it was a good challenge to have.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode where we bring in another industry expert to have an interactive session with our students. So this time we are glad that we have Mr. Siddharth with us, Vice President at Axis Bank with over 16 years of working experience, and that too in many organizations. And he brings in a unique perspective with intersection of leadership, finance, banking, and many more. So first of all, thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time, coming to the campus, interacting with our BBA students. So it's an honor for us to have you here. Second thing, I believe you had an interaction with our first year BBA students. So I would want to know how was the aura, how was the welcoming aura of these students and the campus altogether?
Frankly telling, one of my first sessions over here in the campus, and it was a very, very interesting this thing. And obviously, probably the students were slightly intimidated in the starting, which I could feel. So I tried to make them comfortable. But yes, it was an interactive session and I enjoyed that.
Nice. And so before going ahead with any of the questions, like I gave a short introduction, I would want you to give us a run through to your journey from how it started. And right now you are at a VP, at a leadership position. So how all this transition and everything took place?
Okay, so let me start my journey slightly backwards. I am an information technology and management graduate. I did my BTech in ITM, and post which I worked in the IT industry for close to 7 years. And primarily my role started as a development guy, moved into consulting, program development, and then a bit of a solutioning as well. So, and then more of an architecture. Post which, during my interaction these days, I interacted with a couple of senior members, and I figured it out that I had a knack for being into a business development, and I wanted to move into business development. But one of the primary requirements which came was that you don't have a B school degree, and that basically put my interest that okay, yes, I am just a BTech. Why shouldn't I basically get an MBA as well? And one of the bankers at that point of time basically came up with a very unique program where they were sponsoring your degree as an MBA while you were paid. And so I figured out it was a good learning experience, and it was a very, very specific program designed for a middle management kind of a role. So it sounded interesting. It basically went through a regular process of an MBA where you have to write a written test, have a GDPI and screening and an interview, and post which the selection was there. And since I have been good at mathematics generally, so obviously ended up taking finance as a specialization, finance and banking as a specialization. So, and since bank was sponsoring it, I ended up in the banking industry. So that was a transition from an IT industry to a banking industry. And even in the banking, while I started my career, it was more to do with a pure relationship or a transactional banking, where I understood what a branch banking is and then what a corporate banking is. Got a bit of a glimpse of how a government banking works.
Okay.
And then finally was moved into and started into a particular vertical in banking, which is called financial institutions, where we basically deal with large institutional clients. To be precise, like a mutual fund, NBFC, insurance, other banks. So this is what I started my career while I joined uh, one of the large private sector banks, and post which I did a transition and moved to a similar kind of a role with another large bank. And then I started taking up wanted to slightly do a lead kind of role, and that's when I decided to move into my current role.
Okay.
So yes, obviously I've seen how different phases of banking has been an individual contributor and now handling a specific segment. So it's been a good experience, and yes, learning and staying with one particular segment and field has helped me build me an expertise into that specific segment.
That's great, sir. So, like, this whole transition, was it planned, or you were like, okay, let's just go with the flow, however it is taking me, I'll just go with it?
Frankly, you can't plan these things. Obviously, yes, you can take certain decisions and
Yes.
steps, but then how it turns out to be, you need to go with the flow. So when I started my career, yes, obviously, I have been a technology guy, as in technology guy at
Yes.
heart. So, and my area of interest happens to be technology. Though I'm into banking, but read extensively about what's happening what's the latest thing which is happening in technology. So post which it was more like going with the flow. So yes, banking was a specific choice which I made, but then whatever has happened at the roles which I have taken, it has been more to do with the opportunities which came my way.
So, did the engineering part help you more into the financial sector?
Uh, the work which I did post my engineering definitely did help me, because I was working with an ERP company, which was one of the world's largest ERP makers. My stint over there basically helped me understand what a resource planning is and how
Okay.
different systems and softwares work. So while I was moving into banking, I anyways had a bit of a knowledge of how ERP systems work. And finance was one of the such verticals which we had into even in an ERP software as well, which I had a basic idea about. So yes, it did help me, but then again, it was more about the curated program, which which my MBA was specifically engineered. It was a program which was engineered along with a B school as well as a bank. So that helped me basically mold into what I am today and understand what banking is.
Okay. So, you've worked with many big companies, be it SAP, Wipro, ICICI, Axis, and also Kotak Mahindra, right?
Yes.
So, there might be some common things that you might have done in all these industries or these banks?
No, frankly telling,
No?
the technology world was very different from what a banking is.
Okay.
So yes, trying to find a similarity. Both of them are corporates, but very, very different corporates. And
So-
even within a regular corporate banking, we can, okay, just to give you an example, the way you deal with an MNC customer and the kind of solutions and services which they require would probably be vastly different from what an SME customer would want to. So yes, depending on what the requirement is, you need to learn and you need to do accordingly. While being part of the technology company, it was more about understanding about the project, what a project requirement was, trying to build a solution, and following the guidelines, the project management principles, and ensuring that the project is delivered on time. While when we came into banking, it was more to do with understanding what the customer requires.
Customer needs.
And it was more like an immediate kind of a requirement rather like a 6 months or a 1 year project. Here, it was more to do with an everyday transactional banking. So understanding what the requirement is and ensuring whatever needs the customers are, that's met by the solutions or the products which you are offering.
So during these transitions, did you find it difficult to face new problems like every time you had some or the other changes?
See, that's where the learning comes into picture. So unless and until you are ready for trying something new, it will be difficult for you to grow. So yes, it was a challenge, but then again, it was a good challenge to have. And my understanding is you can only grow if you keep on learning. So unless and until there is a learning in a job, it's difficult to survive because it will become monotonous after a certain point of time. So yes, it was sometimes it was challenging, and yes, we had to stretch. But then again, those things made us learn and basically gave us a new perspective, or gave me probably an idea about a new regulation which had come in, which we had not dealt before, and how to maneuver and ensure that we comply to that regulation. So yes, it definitely helps.
So now, post-COVID, we see how automations and AI is taking more into, like every sector. So I want to know, like, was there any difficulty in understanding these things, like how it would work, and this technical transition that came? So if you compare it to any traditional bank, उनको ये चीज़ अडाप्ट करने में थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, बट एज यू आर समवन who's already been into tech background as well and now into banking sector as well, so did you find it similar, or did you find it very easy to go ahead with AI and automation thing, if there is any changes?
So, Snehal, I will be very frank over here. I am somebody who's from a business side. So, I am rather an end consumer of what an AI or ML is bringing onto it. I am not somebody who is implementing that. So I am more of a consumer. But frankly telling, I don't see it has brought any challenges. Rather, it
Okay.
has opened doors for us. So
Okay.
there are certain things we as a banker are offering multiple kinds of products and services. AI and ML, both these technologies, they are basically enabling us into changing the way banking was and the way banking is. Just give you a very simple example. We have a small LLM model, which is built, it's an AI tool, which it's internally built, which basically helps us scan through all the required regulations and processes internally and helps my branch person to basically handle any query which is thrown by the customer. Maybe a simple request of he needs to update his KYC. So what all documents does he need to collect? A simple query to that LLM tool basically gives him the right options. This is what all you need to collect. Gives you the form, the PDF, and the steps it needs to be followed. So yes,
It
these-
did make things
it
simpler.
makes things way easier. So yes, banking is evolving, and AI and ML are things which are making things easier and automating stuff for us. So yes, I'm as an end consumer, as a banker, it basically ensures that the kind of services which I provide to my customer becomes more smooth.
Do you think fintech, or like how financial and tech together, they may take over traditional banking in future?
Frankly telling, I don't have a crystal ball where I can gaze and see what the future is. But yes, if banks need to survive, that's again completely my view. We need to be more tech oriented.
Yeah.
So technology taking over, I will call it slightly far-fetched. But yes, every bank will have to be tech-enabled in case they need to survive and they need to compete with others, what others are on.
Now, many BBA students or many bachelor students who want to pursue their career into banking and finance. Now, for them, it is a myth that, okay, if you need to go into finance, you need to know maths, you need to know about banking and finance. That is the only skill that you require. But now, how technology is coming into the background, so is there any skill these students should be learning, or making sure, okay, at least you won't be behind, but you will be up to date?
Very difficult question to answer. The way technology is changing rapidly, you actually need to be updated.
Updated.
And there is no one skill set which you can learn and you can say that, no, I will survive with this skill set. Being a tech guy, I remember then there were days when we started with HTML, JavaScript, and others. Now, the way a web page design is done, it's very different from what it used to be and what we were taught during our engineering days. Making a plain HTML page was like a big thing initially.
Yeah.
The very first year in probably engineering. But then, yes, you change. In the same way, stating that one skill which you need to learn, I think the one skill would be adaptability and keeping yourself updated of whatever is happening around. So irrespective of what technology it is, trying to learn more and more and be updated about it.
So you are at a leadership position, so obviously while hiring, especially freshers. So what are those skills, or what is that one particular thing that you make sure that at least student has this, I'll take them into my, like.
Okay, so let me be very frank. This process is specifically handled by the HR team at the bank. The only place where anybody from the regular business banking basically comes into picture is during an evaluation kind of a stage. So one of the first things which you look forward when you are hiring a student is how much aware is he and how adaptable is he. So obviously you would need smart students, you
Yeah.
would need intelligent and bright people around you, but it is not only about knowing everything. It is about being able to express yourself well enough. So that's very critical factor as well. So yeah, being aware of what's happening generally and being uh, smart enough to communicate it effectively. So these will be the key things which I think will be required whenever you are picking up something.
Got it. So, as we were talking about AI, ML, blockchain, and all things are also now into the market. So, I mean, obviously, we cannot predict the future, especially after, what is going to happen in 5, 10 years. But do you have any kind of prediction into your head, like, okay, this may come, this may change? Is there any prediction or any, view of yours?
So frankly, we see the technology is evolving. Uh, Blockchain is something which I will specifically reserve my comments upon because I'm not an expert in that. Yeah, I know, but then again, I'm more of an overview level of that. Yes, there are certain banks, even MNC banks, who have done certain things on blockchain, uh, execution of smart contracts and stuff. So yes, it will impact, but will it change the traditional banking completely? I don't know. So this is something very difficult. AI and ML being part of our regular business, yes, they have definitely taken over. I was during even the sessions while I was interacting with students, I mentioned a couple of case studies on how certain AI tools are helping us in the banking. What have we done through an RPA, a robotic process automation, or how is an ML, what's happening on the cloud side. So I basically gave certain case studies during my discussion. So yes, things are changing, and seeing 10 years down the line, banking will have to evolve. So the way banking was traditionally, it will evolve, but then where exactly and how exactly, it will be difficult. Yes, we mentioned earlier as well, technology will play a lot more larger role. If you look at it, most of the people don't go to bank
Yeah.
right now. Most of the things are probably done from a digital bank.
Yeah.
Or even if people who don't do a mobile banking will probably use an internet banking. So in a very, very rare scenario, you might end up visiting of a branch. For most of the things, you can probably do a telephonic banking. You can call up your RM and you can ask to get things done, can place in a request. So yes, the brick and mortar banking will evolve, but yeah, as of now, they are very much over there, and I expect it to continue for another couple of years.
So, any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Investing early,
Okay.
learning where to invest, understanding finance uh, more from a school or a college perspective, and investing early.
Investing
This is
early.
something which I picked up really late. So yeah, that is definitely I would want to my younger self to learn more about investing early and start early.
Got it, sir. Now, there will be 5 to 6 questions. It will be a rapid fire round.
Sure.
If not banking, then what career would you have choose?
I would have probably continued with the technology career where I was,
Okay.
unless and until I would have taken that jump, a leap of faith of doing an MBA in finance. So yeah, I would have probably continued in the technology space.
Okay. A financial term that sounds very complicated but is very simple.
I don't know what to say, but then for a lot of people, even banking is complicated. Such a simple term as banking,
It's
for them,
complicated.
it's complicated. You need to go visit a branch multiple times, sign multiple documents, and do stuff. Very simple, but then again, financial literacy. As long as you're financially literate,
It is simple thing.
it is simple.
One of the misconceptions that people have about banking sector.
Misconceptions. Interesting. It's very difficult to get inside the bank. It's actually very easy to become a banker.
Okay.
So people feel that banking is a very complicated substance. But again, banking itself, there are multiple roles. And so very easy to get into banking. So you can get it right from branch sales perspective, as long as you're financially literate. Or in case if you are a tech expert, you can probably get into product design, IT development, app development and stuff. So it's not that difficult, and it is fairly simple as well.
Okay. I mean, obviously, your family members, your friends also might be knowing you are into the banking and tech sector. So, what is that one common, question or doubt they come up to you and ask, like most of the times? Even before investing, they would be like, yeah, should I invest into these? Or, like that might be the most common question you might be going ahead with.
Frankly telling, yes, definitely. Most of the people in my family, immediate family, obviously come for advice, but I have been somebody who constantly tells them that I am not an investment advisor. So, in case they are banking personally with any specific bank, I always ask them to basically check out what options they have and make an informed decision. So when they ask me specific queries regarding a product A or a product B, so obviously I need to do my homework and I basically give them the benefits of choosing A or
We can
B.
say this is the myth part that most of the people think that if they are into banking, you can go and ask them about the investment part and they'll give you 100% right
Yes.
answer.
So I typically avoid that because see, unless and until you know what the other person is investing for, what his end goal is, you can't really guide.
Right.
So you need to be aware what the end goal is, and then maybe you can basically give them informed choices. Choosing what to do needs to be
Is
done.
on them. So are you a morning person or a night owl?
Definitely.
Morning person.
Yeah, I am.
Your day starts at?
Depends. So sometimes when yes, I was a big time fitness expert or freak as well. I have run almost 7 or 8 marathons. So when I used to run actively, that is time the day started typically around 5:30, 6 o'clock. Now
Okay.
no longer. It typically starts somewhere around 6:45, 7. That's when my typical day starts like.
Okay. So are you a movie person or a book reading person?
I prefer reading person, though I see movies as well. But yeah, my ideal vacation typically is like being completely cut off and probably finishing a good book.
Okay. And any stress busting activity that you do, if it is just like, work stress is too much for you.
You try not to take stress. But then again, yes, obviously, if it happens, the best thing which works out is like speaking to colleagues around you, basically trying to tell you the situation, giving yourself time. Because sometimes when you are too stressed on something, you might not be able to think the most logical stuff. When you give yourself time, you eventually arrive at the right place. Or sometimes you can even obviously ask for opinions and advices from your peers. So that basically helps.
Okay. And one thing you wish college students knew, especially in the start of their career.
Grades are not everything,
Okay,
but then
yes.
you need to be sincere.
Yes.
Grades will not matter as long as you are learning. You are sincerely learning. So you need to constantly make efforts and improve.
And one career tip for these students, especially to the students that you interacted with today.
Career tip, be adaptable. Check out what's evolving, where you are finding an opportunity.
Got it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so
It
much.
was an insightful session where we actually got to know about tech, about banking, about finance, and leadership altogether. So, thanks a lot, sir, for giving us your time, and thank you so much.